We're going to be talking about funeral sunnah acts today. This is a really important topic, and these next few videos will be related to funeral prayers, washing the deceased. So listen to these videos really carefully, because inevitably we're all going to die, or one of our family members is going to die, and we need to conduct this process. So listen carefully. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So it is a sunnah to frequently remind ourselves and others of death. It should be a reminder for us to quit sin, ask for forgiveness, pay off any debts before death strikes. The Prophet ﷺ said frequently, remember the interrupter of pleasure, that is death. No one is happy forever. Death interrupts it. And funerals are what happens when the person dies, and whatever comes with that. There's a number of rulings. Announce a person's death. This depends. So we don't go to the masjid and through the loudspeaker announce a death, the cause of the death and other factors, or broadcasting it. It's not the right way to do it. So to actually announce it means to inform others that a person has died. There's no problem. The Prophet ﷺ did this on a number of occasions. So when the Najashi, the ruler of Abyssinia, died, the Prophet ﷺ announced his death. But to announce the death while showing grief, pain and complaint, and mentioning the good qualities of the person, this comes under the action of Jahiliyyah, and this is exactly what the Prophet prohibited us from doing, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when death takes place, there's a number of rulings. So listen carefully. The moment he dies, we have to shut his eyes and close his eyes if they were opened. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did this to his brother Abu Salama. Abu Salama is his brother through suckling, and Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 3 brothers through suckling. So when he died, the Prophet closed his eyes sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and when the soul is taken, the gaze follows, because a person is watching his soul coming out of his body, and this is why his eye remains open. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam closed his eyes, and then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do not say anything but say good, as the angels say Ameen. The Prophet is warning us to say good things about the deceased. For when you start cursing yourself and saying, why did you not take me instead of them, the angel says Ameen, and this dua could actually backfire on you big time. Oh Allah, forgive him and have mercy on him is the du'as you should make. Part of the sunnah is to cover the body and the face of the deceased, because Mother Aisha said when the Prophet ﷺ died, we covered him with a stripped Yemeni cloak. So the sunnah is done for a number of reasons. Most prominent reason is to protect the deceased from being remembered by the people who come and see and visit him if there is a change in his appearance, colour, and it's more dignifying to cover him. The sunnah is to hasten his burial and bury him as soon as possible. The Prophet ﷺ, as per the hadith of Hurairah, hastened to take the deceased to the grave, for if he was good, then it is something good to which you are taking him to. If you are the deceased, you know in your grave a window to paradise, fragrances, favours and blessings will fill your life. Would you want to be on earth or in your grave? So yeah, you would obviously want to be in your grave. The sunnah is also to look whether the deceased had debts, had people's rights, had vows he did not fulfill, expiations he did not pay off. Any rights the deceased had to people or even to Allah, it must be returned and given back. Whether he writes it in a will or not, it has to be done, because the Prophet ﷺ said the soul of the believer remains suspended because of his debt until it is paid off on his behalf. That's why we do stress not to borrow, as it's a serious issue. So issues related to a person's death is to hasten to carry his washing, shrouding and burial, which I'm going to cover about how to wash the deceased in the next video, inshallah, because this is what the sunnah was till the date for over 15 centuries, and to execute this deceased will because if he had a will, that means he wanted it executed as soon as he died. The scholars combine the word dum, these are the rites are executed, so TDOM is what is. So the T is to prepare the corpse for washing, shrouding, prayer and burial. The D is afterwards. We look at the wealth and see his debts. People come with proof and we give them the debts that he owed them. And the O is when will we execute his will, we must exceed 1/3 of the remaining of his wealth. And the M means we distribute inheritance upon those who have left behind of this individual, the wife, the parents, the offspring. So the ruling of washing the deceased is a communal obligation. So if one does it, the whole community are saved. The Prophet ﷺ enforced it and enjoined it when he said concerning the pilgrim who was in the state of ihram and he died when his camel threw him off his back, so he broke his neck. The Prophet ﷺ said, wash him with water and lotus leaves. So when the Prophet ﷺ's daughter died, Zainab, the Prophet washed her 3 times or 5 times or 7 times. So it's a communal obligation that must be fulfilled by one in the community, then they are not exempted from the sin. If no one does it, then we as a whole community are sinful. I'll leave you here. Fi amanillah wa sallallahu wa baraka ala nabina Muhammad astaghfirullah. I'll catch you in the next video to talk to you about how to wash the deceased. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.